So let's discuss January SMEX Ed Class of the Month with the topic premature ejaculation. I have been receiving so many messages from everyone basically asking to learn a little bit more about the causes of premature ejaculation, ways to prolong sex if you do suffer from premature ejaculation, how to talk to your partner who may be suffering with premature ejaculation. And so we are going to cover all of that in today's SMEX Class of the Month. So what is premature ejaculation? Premature ejaculation is a condition where a penis owner ejaculates quickly during any type of sexual stimulation, but more specifically during sexual intercourse and or any style of penetration. There are two different types of premature ejaculation. So there's primary premature ejaculation. So this is known as lifelong premature ejaculation. And I may shorten this to PE as well. PE is just a way of an acronym for premature ejaculation. But having a lifelong PE means that you have in your entire livelihood had issues being able to last longer during sex. You tend to pop off fairly easy when penetration is involved. And then there's secondary PE, which is called acquired PE. Now, this is where you've recently developed the condition. So this is something where all of a sudden, like you've been fine your entire life, you've been able to last a decent amount of time, and then all of a sudden something's happening where you are ejaculating much quicker, and this is just an acquired thing. So we have to dive into what classifies premature ejaculation, because we need to state that PE isn't a cause for concern if this is happening just like randomly, right? Like every single penis owner has had one time in their life where they have ejaculated a little too quickly because they've gotten excited because they haven't had sex in a really long time. So if this has happened to you a handful of times, like there's nothing to be concerned about. What we are being concerned about is if it has happened every single time and or the frequency in which it is happening is starting to increase to where it's becoming a concern for not only you, but your partner as well. So when we classify PE, these are kind of the three classifications that doctors use, according to the Mayo Clinic, to what's the word? Not quantify, but to what's the word I'm looking for? It's like totally just lost my mind. But in order to diagnose, there you go, you with PE. So always or nearly always ejaculating within 1 to 3 minutes of penetration. Now, when we are talking about the act of sex itself, a little bit of statistics here, the average sex session typically lasts 7 to 20 minutes. Now, this is including foreplay. So we want to make sure that people recognize that as well, of like, hey, if you're popping off within 10 minutes into a sex session, that does not mean you have premature ejaculation, because sex sessions typically are a lot shorter than what we see in movies and TVs and we read about, right? So when the average sex session is between 7 and 20 minutes long, penetration is typically around 10 minutes long without foreplay. We are talking about people who, when they insert themselves into a vulva, are popping off within like under 3 minutes. These are also people who are not able to delay ejaculation during sex at all. So what does it mean by delaying ejaculation? This is when you are starting to get worked up and you know you're about to ejaculate, having the techniques or the control to kind of slow down and not ejaculate. So with premature ejaculation, it's not anything that they can stop and or control. It just happens. So they are unable to delay their ejaculation at all. And then feeling distressed and or frustrated and tend to avoid sexual intimacy as a result. So PE is a condition that not only affects the person going through it, but it also affects their partner. And so this can lead to a lot of stress, a lot of frustration in the bedroom with the partner. And if one partner is getting frustrated, the other partner gets frustrated, and there tends to be a breakdown in communication because as the partner who is not suffering, it is hard to figure out how to bring up this topic of making sure that your partner gets the help that they need in order to treat it without hurting their ego. And I don't mean that in a bad way of like, oh my God, penis owners have these huge egos. No, sex is a very intimate, scary, vulnerable thing. And so when you're putting yourself out there to the world, and you are struggling with being able to control your ejaculation, there is a lot of shame and guilt and just, I don't know, stress that go along with that. And that person is feeling so many emotions and feeling in a way inadequate because remember, they're told, especially men are told that they're the reasons that sex is supposed to last longer. They're supposed to last long during sex. So if your partner is struggling with that, they're going through a whirlwind of emotions and shame and guilt. And it does bruise their ego because no one likes to feel like they are being sexually inadequate with their partner. And so it becomes a very sticky topic as far as communication and really opening yourself up to have these conversations with your partner. But PE is completely treatable, right? There are medication, there's counseling, there's techniques, and I'm going to go over a few in this training as well that can help delay ejaculation and improve sex life for you and your partner. But the thing is, you have to be brave enough, and I use the word brave on purpose because it does require bravery to have to go talk to your doctor about this. You can watch this training. You can go through the tips. I am not a medical professional. I am not a doctor. I do not have a degree in any type of medicine. So if you are looking for someone to really help you get through this and treat this condition, I highly recommend you going to see a professional as soon as humanly possible and talk to them about ways to help because they can help you on such a deeper level than I can. And I understand that it is sometimes awkward or it just doesn't feel great having to talk to someone about what you feel is an inadequacy of yourself, but that's the only way that you are going to be able to get better. And it is treatable. And I think a lot of penis owners, although it's treatable, still don't want to go and talk to the doctor about it because they are embarrassed about it. And it's like, it's something that happens to a lot of people, more people than you think. So please go talk to your doctor if you are suffering from premature ejaculation. And I said that whole spiel before I realized this next whole slide is about seeing a doctor. Many people feel that symptoms of premature ejaculation, but the symptoms don't meet the criteria for the diagnosis. It's typical to experience early ejaculation this time. That is completely normal. We've discussed this. If it becomes more frequent, that's when you need to go speak to your doctor. So if I'm sitting here and saying, out of a dozen times, if you have suffered from PE 2 out of 12 times, you're fine. If it's 10 or 11 out of 12 times, then I would definitely start going to see a doctor so they can rule out the physical ailments, the biological ailments, the psychological ailments that could be coming with your PE. And we're going to kind of touch on all of those moving forward. So what causes PE? The exact cause of PE isn't known. It was once thought to be only psychological, but healthcare providers now know that PE involves a complex interaction of psychological and biological factors. So there are things that can be going on inside of your body that are causing you to have PE, and we'll go over some of those. It can also be some mental mental health stuff. So it could be feeling stressed, feeling overwhelmed, struggling with connecting intimately with your partner. So it's not just a psychological problem. There could be something deeper underneath happening. So this is why it's so important to go see a doctor. So psychological causes of PE. So early sexual experiences, this is any type of trauma possibly related to early sexual experiences. So this could be a time where you had sex with someone and you ejaculated really quickly, and then the partner that you were going through shamed you in a way, made fun of you, or got out that you struggled delaying your ejaculation, and then you now associate every sexual experience with that early sexual experience. So it's almost like every time you go to have sex, that image or that scenario plays on repeat in your head. Also, sexual abuse. I'm not a licensed therapist, so I don't talk about sexual abuse a lot of the time. But if you have suffered from sexual abuse at a young age, it does have ramifications of your sex life if you do not go seek professional help to give you the tools to be able to navigate your sex life as an adult. So, previous sexual abuse can definitely cause premature ejaculation. Poor body image. So, if someone is going through changes in their body, right? We talk about body image when it relates to a women a lot, but men do have their own expectations and societal quote unquote standards of beauty. And so if some men do not feel like they can reach that precipice of what the male form is supposed to be like, poor body image can lead to premature ejaculation, depression, anxiety, overwhelm, anything from work, from life, from any of those things. Anxiety can cause you to have premature ejaculation. Speaking of anxiety, worrying about PE. So the more you worry when you go into a sexual session with a partner, if you are already in your head being like, oh my God, please don't come, please don't come, please don't come, try to last long, try to last long, try to last long, you're then putting performance pressure on yourself, which is going to cause you to pop off because you're already in your head about everything and you're already worrying about the ramifications of what could happen if you did. And then guilty feelings that cause you to rush through sex. So when they are talking about this is like societal conditioning. This is religious conditioning. This is any type of sexual shame that you may have felt. Excuse me, I'm just getting over a cold. Any type of sexual shame or guilt that you may have felt in your lifetime kind of comes up during sex. So maybe you were told that sex is dirty or sex was only for procreation, or that whatever you were told in your life, you go into sex being like, oh my God, I just need to get through this and I just need to make it quick and I just need to ejaculate. So that ends up bringing up feelings of guilt, especially if your partner wants to take their time and they want to just be present with you and it's an intimacy thing and you have all of these shameful and guilty feelings inside of you. And if it's a psychological cause of PE, like the best thing to do is go see a licensed therapist about this, because they will be able to help you tackle all of these symptoms or all of these causes and be able to give you the tools to be able to work through them and process them and let them go so that you can have a happy, healthy sex life. Now, there are some biological causes of premature ejaculation as well. And this is why it's so important to go see a healthcare professional. So it could be irregular hormone levels. So there could be something going on in your body that is throwing the hormones off in your body, and therefore it's causing you to have premature ejaculation. Irregular levels of brain chemicals, a swelling or infection of the prostate or the urethra. So you want to make sure to go get both of those checked out. And inherited traits. There could be something that your family members have that like one of the causes or the side effects of it are premature ejaculation. And typically, if you go see a doctor about these and you get tested, they have medication that can help work through all of these things. So if it's an irregular hormone level, they could give you some extra testosterone. They could give you some extra hormones in order to raise your hormone level to normal or to decrease it so that you can delay your ejaculation during sex. Now, let's talk about what to do if your partner struggles with PE, because it can be a frustrating experience for both partners. When one partner it's awkward, right? Like, let's just have a really fucking real conversation here. When things don't go, when our expectations are not met sexually, there is a lot of guilt and shame that can come with that, and a lot of awkwardness. Sex is such a vulnerable thing to do with another person. Like, you're literally bearing yourself to them, and it is both partners, both people are there naked and hoping that the other person is, one, enjoying what they're doing, two, excited to be there, but also three, you during sex, they're seeing at you like at your rawest, like most carnal form. And that is a very vulnerable thing to go through. And it makes it even worse when one partner feels inadequate, right? I get a lot of vulva owners who will say things like, well, I can't orgasm during oral sex and my partner gets frustrated. And a lot of penis owners who are saying, well, how do I last longer? Because I'm getting so excited, I can't last long. And then they get frustrated. So going in and knowing that it is a sensitive topic for both partners involved when it comes to premature ejaculation. As the partner who isn't suffering from it, it is a walking on eggshells kind of conversation because you don't want to hurt your partner's feeling. You don't want to make them feel inadequate. You love them, you care about them, but you also care about your own sexual satisfaction and you really want to help them. And then the partner who is going through it is struggling with whatever it is that they're struggling with that could be causing this, and adding this level of inadequacy onto them, or adding this level of just, in a way, turmoil onto them can make them feel even worse. So having a conversation about this, and I know that the number one bullet point is communicate with them, but I can also say that it is a stressful conversation to have. And especially when your partner is frustrated because it keeps happening. So, for example, if it happens during a session, your partner's already frustrated that they just ejaculated quickly. Give it a little bit of time before you bring it up to them. Don't do it in the heat of the moment, right? Because in the heat of the moment, even when you think like when somebody ejaculates, their body is at a heightened level, whether you're a vulva owner or a penis owner, when anybody has an orgasm, their body is at a heightened state, right? Their adrenaline is up, their blood pressure is up, their heart rate is up. Feel good hormones are up as well, but you have to realize if someone is premature ejaculating, they are going through this. Hey, my feel good hormones are up there, and then they crash because all of a sudden the weight of the situation drops on them, like, oh, I didn't last long. Okay. And then all of a sudden it's like they go through this emotional, like, and physical change where it's like they're high in a good way, and then they come crashing down because they realize what just happened. So I would wait to have the conversations personally until after the session, maybe after you guys get dressed, maybe when you guys have both like come down and you've both elevated, kind of, not elevated, what's the word I'm looking for? Balanced your bodies and your hormones, and you've just kind of had a break from the session, because nothing, like, you have to think of what it must feel like also to be in the other person's shoes. Like, nothing is worse than after someone ejaculating, someone being like, oh my God, seriously? That's how long you lasted? Or what the fuck? Or anything along those lines. Like, that is such a terrible feeling to be felt during that time. So we want to wait until both people have a steady head on their shoulders. No one is feeling extremely vulnerable, because even after climaxing, both, like, people feel very vulnerable in that moment. So when I say communicate with them, like, maybe wait a little bit until afterwards, an hour or so, maybe when you're dressed, you're ready, and you guys are kind of by yourself, or later that night, and just say, hey, I really want to talk to you about what's been going on lately in with sex. Like, I love you. I enjoy our time together, but I've just noticed that the frequency in which you're ejaculating is like really quick lately. And I want to know if there's anything that I can do to help you. Is there, like, I've been maybe reading about this, I've been learning a little bit about it, and I think that we should go see a doctor to make sure that there's nothing biologically going on, or nothing, like that your hormone levels are okay and that you don't have an infection. And then maybe, if we rule that out, we could start going to a couples counselor, or you could go to counseling to help you with whatever may be going on. As the partner who is not suffering, don't make it about you. And what I mean by that is, don't make it mean anything about you that your partner is struggling with PE. So it's not anything that you are doing. It's just they get excited, right? If anything, it's like they're so excited to have sex with you that their body is just like reacting physically to closeness and intimacy. And so if your partner's never struggled before and all of a sudden they're struggling with you, don't make it about you and make this whole thing worse by being like, well, what is it about me that's causing this? It's like, no, 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 no. It's could be something that's circumstantial. It could be something that's going on with work. If your partner is like, it's not about you, I swear to God, trust your partner and don't make it about you. And like, your pleasure matters. Yes, of course it does. And your level of satisfaction matters, but also just don't make this oh, well, I am unsatisfied in our sex life type of deal, right? Like, don't be like, well, every time you pop off, I'm not getting off and I don't think it's fair. Okay. Well, there's other ways to have that conversation that are less abrasive and will not put your partner on defense as much. So don't make this about you. Recognize that, like, if the roles were reversed and this was happening to you, it can be embarrassing. Like, I remember, like, after long durations of not being able, like not having sex for a while, I used to have orgasms fairly quickly with partners, and I would like tamper it down. I wouldn't say anything. Because it made me feel shameful. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be having an orgasm that fast. It's like, we get all of these fucking notions and these ideas of what sex is supposed to be like in our head because of everything that we grow up seeing. And so it's like, don't make the situation worse by shaming your partner or making them feel bad, because trust me, they already feel freaking terrible. Ask them how you can support them. So sitting here and saying to them, like, I know that this is a sensitive topic, and I just want you to know I love you so much, and I want to make sure that everything is great. So how can I support you during this? If it's, hey, I need to take the kids while you go to the doctor, or maybe it's, hey, can you come to the doctor with me so that you can talk to the doctor about it? Because there are times where it's embarrassing to talk about. In the magazine, in I think it's the April issue or the March issue, we had a doctor come in, and he wrote an entire article on premature ejaculation. And in the article, he states about this man who came in, who was suffering from premature ejaculation, but refused to tell the doctor what it was. And then his partner came in, and his partner was like, this is what's happening. So if you're struggling to talk to your doctor about it, and having your partner there to talk about it makes you feel less embarrassed or just makes you feel more supported, then ask your partner to support them in that way. Or maybe it's, hey, I'm going to go see a doctor about this. Can we not tell anybody about this? Like, don't tell the kids don't tell anyone I'm going to the doctor. Just tell them I have an appointment. And can this just stay between the two of us? Ask your partner how you can support them. Don't add extra pressure, meaning by making it about you. So sitting here and saying like, well, come on now, you got to last longer, or take a deep breath, or something like that. Like, just try and understand where your partner's coming from during this. Trust your partner. And what I mean by that is, trust them. If they're sitting here and they're saying it's not about you, it's just something I'm going through. Well, if they're sitting here and saying, I'm going through something, I'm feeling overwhelmed at work, this is where you can help. How do I support you during this? Right? If you're feeling overwhelmed at work, do you want to talk about it? Do you want to tell me about it? Do you want to go see someone else and talk to them about it, and trust them to follow through with the line of support in whichever way they want it and or need it? Recognize that this is a frustrating experience for both of you, right? it is awkward when it happens, and there is a lot of just shame and guilt around it. So recognize that it's not just about you in this moment. Your partner's feeling pretty shitty as well. And remember, their ego can hurt. And I mean that in like not a shitty way, right? Because we associate ego with such a bad thing. Ego is not a bad thing. But it hurts if you have ever been in a sexual encounter. And I guarantee every single person listening to this has been in one sexual encounter where their partner has said something unintentional and or intentional that has hurt them during sex or about sex. Or they've said something like, I don't like that, or they've said something like, oh, I wasn't really into that, and you tried something new and you're feeling vulnerable and you're feeling like, oh, well, I just got out of my comfort zone. Like, it's a terrible fucking feeling when someone is talking about inadequacies during sex, right? Oh, well, you didn't orgasm, or you orgasmed too quickly, or you squirted and I wasn't ready for it. Like, everyone has been shamed in some aspect during sex. So remember that when you're approaching your partner about this conversation, put your walls down and do not come at it from a abrasive, like, you're doing something wrong. This is all your fault. I am frustrated. Like, everyone is frustrated during this. So recognize that and make it an open conversation about, I think we need to talk about this. So let's talk about a few ways to holistically treat premature ejaculation. I pulled these off of the internet and thought they were really good. And obviously, there are medications that can help with premature ejaculation, but there are also things that you can do holistically to start helping your body prolong ejaculation. So Kegel exercises. Now, I know that we hear about Kegel exercises a lot when it comes to women and working out their pelvic floor after childbirth, or in general, right? Just to make sure that their pelvic floor muscles are tightened, right? And they are keeping it, like, it, not keeping it tight, but a lot of people think that when women have childbirth, it stretches out the vaginal canal. It doesn't. It actually jacks up your pelvic floor. And so we want to make sure that we are doing pelvic floor exercises and making sure we tighten those muscles. So the Kegel exercise technique calls for tightening and then releasing your pelvic muscles for 10 seconds. So when a vulva owner is doing it, it is usually like clenching your muscles, holding them for 10 seconds, letting them go, right? You can do the exact same thing if you're a penis owner. It is about strengthening those walls so that during sex, when you are starting to feel yourself experiencing an orgasm or getting close, you can start tightening those muscles, holding them for 10 seconds, letting them go, then tightening them again for about 3 sets, right? So doing these exercises daily, yes, daily, to be able to help strengthen your pelvic floor is going to be able to help you last longer during sex, because then when you are getting close to your climactic state, you could start doing these Kegel exercises. One, it's going to pull your focus from what's going on and put it onto something else. And also it's going to just strengthen those muscles to help slow down your ejaculation. Another way to treat premature ejaculation holistically is changing your lifestyle. And I know that this is kind of a generic one, but we need to talk about it because a healthy lifestyle may improve a person's sexual function. Physical factors such as obesity, smoking, and substance misuse, as well as psychosocial factors such as stress, anxiety, and depression, can harm sexual function. So, taking the following steps may help a person have a more satisfying sex life. If you are doing any drugs, and I'm talking about weed, sometimes can have an effect on people sexually. It can delay ejaculation and it can also cause premature ejaculation. So, any type of recreational drug use that you are using, at least decreasing it a little bit until you get this under control and or to the point where you feel better about yourself, is going to help. If you were smoking and or drinking, quitting smoking, decreasing alcohol intake. You have to think of it this way. Your body is a machine. And when you are giving it good oil, it's going to work better and more efficiently, right? If you were putting a bunch of stuff into your body, it's not going to function the way it is supposed to. And so there are people, like, even with alcohol, there's like whiskey dick, right? We've all heard of it. When they drink so much, it's either you can't get it up or it literally, you can't come, right? There's a lot of men who, if they're drinking, or penis owners, I should say, that or if they're drinking, they struggle being able to ejaculate, or they can't even get themselves up enough. So taking all of these things that are being put into your body and at least decreasing them is going to help the potential of you being able to last longer during sex. Exercising regularly. Why? If your body's in shape, it is going to help you slow down your ejaculation because you're going to be more in tune with your body. Following a balanced diet, yes, what you eat matters. Managing stress with techniques such as meditation, yoga, and mindfulness. Stress is one of the leading factors of premature ejaculation. So learning how to manage it, if you don't want to go see a psychologist or a counselor, which I still highly suggest that you do, if you feel that that is, if there's a stigma related to that, because sometimes there is a stigma, especially when it comes to penis owners and mental health in this country, then I would highly suggest you start finding ways to manage your stress with yoga, mindfulness, meditation, talking to fucking someone, even if it's your significant other, if it's a friend, like having someone to unload onto will help you be able to manage your stress. Finding a new job, even if you feel like you're stuck at your current job and it's because of a pension or it's because of something, like there are ways that you can figure out how to make life a little bit better and more manageable for yourself. Therapy. Psychotherapy can help a person identify any underlying psychological causes of their premature ejaculation, such as anxiety. Like I said, attending couple counseling sessions together may be able to help. Why? Because it's an awkward conversation to have. Having someone to mediate that conversation can help you. Having someone be able to understand what people are saying underneath what they're saying. And what I mean by that is, even when we're talking about relationships and communication between relationships, you and your partner have a fight over something, say the dishes, right? It's never really about the dishes. There is something underneath that that's more deep rooted, and the dishes are just the catalyst that caused the conversation. So having someone to be able to mediate the conversation and be able to pull that information out of you both and make you both self-aware of what is going on is going to help the most in your relationship, especially if you are suffering from past bad sexual, like traumatic experiences or abuse or stress at work or stress with family. Being able to have someone that you can just talk to and that can give you the ways to cope with it without it becoming so ingrained in your body, because we hold trauma in our body and our body reacts to that. Another technique to try is the start-stop technique. This is basically known as edging, right? If you've ever heard of edging in the sex world, it is you basically take your partner to as close to orgasm as they can. So if you were the penis owner, right, you want to get yourself, whether it's during solo play or during partner play, almost to ejaculation state and then stop. So if you're having sex, this looks like penetration. If you're penetrating, doing a couple thrusts. And then if you're starting to feel it, pulling out, slowing down, doing something with your partner, right? If you are masturbating, this is taking your hand away, taking the toy away right before you are about to come. That way, and like then completely stopping stimulation. Right? It's not decreasing, it's stopping it. It's giving yourself a cool off period. And this is because when you do this, it gets you more aware of your body and it gets your body to calm down quickly. So if you're doing this during masturbation, being able to give it like, I don't know, a minute and a half to 2 minutes, and then starting again, then you learn where that like absolute precipice Like you were unable to delay it. Like, you want to be able to do this process like 4 to 5 times, so that you can kind of identify like, oh my God, there it goes, right? You want to go until it basically, you can't stop the stimulation. It happens. You learn how far you can take your body. You learn how to cool your body down. You become more aware of your body. And doing this technique during solo play can help increase the likelihood of you during sex, because you'll know, okay, this is where my body, I'm about to come, I'm going to pull out and I'm going to do something to my partner. One, to distract like your brain, right? To give yourself time to cool down. 2, 3, ensure your partner is feeling good. Okay, another technique is called the squeeze technique. In this technique, you're required to squeeze the end of the penis, that is the point between the shaft and the glans, so the rounded part of the end of the penis, until the need to ejaculate passes. Once again, this is something you could do during solo play if you are a little embarrassed to do this in front of your partner, which is totally understandable, right? So you can do this during masturbation, where you, same thing, kind of get to the point of where you are going to masturbate. I'm sorry, where you're going to come, and then you're going to squeeze that part. And you're just going to hold it for like 30 seconds to a minute, until all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't have to come anymore. Then you're going to start again, get yourself to that point, and then squeeze that point. So it's a way of edging, but rather than completely stopping stimulation, this one almost, it's like it gives you a little bit, in a way, probably a little bit of a pain, so that your body kind of re-regulates itself and comes down, and your body gets away from, in a way, those feel good endorphins, and kind of pulls back and regulates so that you can slow down, take a deep breath, and helps you delay your ejaculation. Another way is deep breathing techniques. And you can Google this. There are so many different like books and breathing techniques that can help with premature ejaculation. This specific one I found is like a 5-minute deep breathing technique. And basically, every breath that you inhale and exhale during those 5 minutes would enable you to exercise better control over the tension and the arousal that brings about untimely ejaculations. So you need to spend about 5 seconds taking in a deep breath, followed by 3 seconds of holding it, then 5 seconds of deep exhalation. You want to do this for 5 minutes, and it should be able to help control your PE. So you could do this intentionally, just sitting down at your desk for 5 minutes. You could also do this while trying to masturbate. That way you can feel the sensations within your body and be able to control your breathing. Breathing is a big thing, because even I talk about this when we talk about vulva owners and squirting, is a lot of vulva owners, when they get to the feeling that they're going to squirt, they get so, because your blood pressure rises, because like your heart rate rises, you start breathing like hyperventilating kind of breathing, which then puts your body into this like panic response of like fight or flight, because it thinks something's wrong. So in order for vulva owners to squirt, I always suggest taking very deep inhales followed by very deep exhales. That's the same thing here. So as you were getting closer to climaxing, if you're doing this during masturbation, it's about like taking the deep breaths while you're masturbating, especially when your breath starts to get to that hyperventilating style. And so you could do this with a combination of one of the other techniques as well. So with edging, as you're getting closer, starting to do this breath work as you're getting closer, then stop all stimulation, focus on your breath work until you calm down, and then do it again. Here are a few other things or tips that I found around the internet to help you last longer during sex. Masturbate at least 1 to 2 hours before sex, if possible, because typically if a penis owner ejaculates the first time, the second time they tend to last longer. So being able to masturbate ahead of time may help. Use a condom, a thick one, to decrease sensation. Foreplay, 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 and more foreplay. Like Foreplay is key for your partner rather than going straight to penetration. Make sure your partner is fully satisfied before penetration. So make sure they've orgasmed once or twice, or they are in a state of like, when penetration occurs, they are ready to pop off quickly. So that takes some of the pressure off of you to have to last longer because they've already had a few orgasms. Distracting your thoughts to prolong ejaculation. So they always make fun of this in like TV and movies where people like think of their grandmother, or they think of baseball, or they think of playing a deck of cards or some shit, like trying to find disruptive thoughts to help pull you out of the moment. Sometimes closing your eyes can help because penis owners tend to be visual creatures, and so sometimes closing your eyes and sinking into the feeling may help because you take away the visual stimulation. And taking a deep breath to attempt to shut down the ejaculatory reflex. So when you're feeling like you're about to come, doing those breathing techniques. Now, medication for premature ejaculation. Yes, there are a variety of medications that can help. Always consult your general practitioner in order to get a list of what is right for you. I'm not going to list any of the medications because, once again, I'm not a doctor and I don't want you getting these medications and taking the wrong one. So if you think you need medication, you need to go talk to your doctor about it. And that is it in this training. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them in the comments below and we will come back and answer them for you.